MPs and rights groups have criticized Theresa May's flagship strategy to tackle modern slavery, after a damning report by the public spending watchdog found it had failed victims. A National Audit Office report said the Home Office had limited means of tracking the strategy's progress, an incomplete picture of the crime, victims and perpetrators, and that prosecution rates last year remained very low. The report warned, until the government is able to establish effective oversight of the modern slavery system as a whole, it will not be able to significantly reduce the prevalence of modern slavery or show that it is achieving value for money. Amias Morse, head of the National Audit Office, said that while the strategy had helped to establish the scale and international nature of the issue, a stronger grasp of the problem was required. To combat modern slavery successfully, said Morse, government will need to build much stronger information and understanding of perpetrators and victims than it has now. In 2016, there were 80 prosecutions under the Modern Slavery Act for 155 offenses, the report found. The government announced the modern slavery strategy 3 years ago, and the Prime Minister introduced the Modern Slavery Act in 2015 to combat slavery, servitude, forced labor and human trafficking, and to protect victims. There are an estimated 10 to 30,000 potential victims in the UK, most frequently subjected to labor or sexual exploitation, or domestic servitude. Diane Abbott, the Shadow Home Secretary, described the Home Office as dysfunctional and said the NAO report painted a damning picture of the government's strategy to end modern slavery. She said, "It is clear that the government doesn't have a true picture of the scale of the problem, or the perpetrators or the victims." The NAO also takes the Home Office to task for failing to get a grip on the effectiveness of its spending, or even how much money is spent overall. Overstretched police forces also have highly uneven responses to cases of modern slavery. Theresa May's warm words about modern slavery are not enough. The government needs to take strong, coordinated action based on firm evidence. The NAO report said the Home Office does not know how much money is being spent, or whether services meet care quality standards. It called into question measures taken to support victims. Safe houses for potential victims are not subject to care quality inspections or standards, and there remains much more to do to ensure they are protected, said the authors. Rights groups said the government's lack of coherence meant victims were too afraid to come forward, as they could not be guaranteed support. Kate Roberts, of the Human Trafficking Foundation, said, "It's frustrating that the high-level rhetoric is not filtering down to an adequate service that victims can trust. If you are trying to gain the confidence of a victim, you need to tell them what they can expect from the system, not that they might get support and might not. It's very difficult for advocates to get the victim's trust."